Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to, of course, Misfits Racing League action. Joining me, as always, is Unicorn. We are here for, well, the club division, the fifth and final race around Singapore this week, Unicorn.
Yeah, it's going to be very exciting. The club division, always a fun way to end the week, and Singapore hasn't disappointed so far, and I'm sure this race is going to be no different here this evening.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm just fixing a little bit of an audio thing here. And, give me one. Try and get that sorted out. Fixing the audio there. All right. We should be good to go. Yes. Lovely. Let's take a look at the Singapore circuit. Sorry for the delay. 23 turns around Singapore. It is a long circuit. We've had 4 of these races, Unicorn. We've had, well, quite a few safety cars now. We've had, well, the first 2 races had no safety cars, just 1 VSC. And yesterday we had another 2 races. That was Tier 2. Well, we had 3 races yesterday, actually. We had the Oceanic race, which had no safety cars. Then we had Tier 2. Then we had Tier 1. We had 1 safety car in Tier 2. 2 safety cars in Tier 1. We also had a full intermediate condition race for the Tier 1 grid, which was just wild to watch. Of course, let's take a look at the calendar. Sorry, that audiobook kind of threw off my rhythm there. Let's take a look at the calendar. We have Singapore today. Next week, we have Russia. Following that, Japan, the US, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. Today is round 16 here in Singapore, November the 6th. It is my birthday, coincidentally. We've been looking forward to it because I think it's gonna rain today, Unicorn. And I'm gonna go full-fledged with this one. I've been right quite frequently this week, so I'm hoping that I'm right again today. I want to see the rain. It's provided us such a fun dynamic around Singapore. Let's take a look at the teams who are going to be taken to the grid. We have 2 new full-time drivers on the grid today in the club division. Now I'll get to them in a second. We have, well, ZZ9 and Fraser over at Mercedes. We have Alex Bitto and Jake at Ferrari. Ben the Bear and Remco Van Putten for Red Bull. It's Mito and Burke over at McLaren. We have Seb and Zamis for Renault. Freeware and Finn over at AlphaTauri. Burkicon and Jones for Racing Point. And we have Shenjay and Money at Alfa Romeo. Now this is where things get switched up a bit. We have Tem and Sever, who was previously with XTXP. Now we have Jinakari in here. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I hope I'm not butchering it. So he is making his full-time debut over at Haas. And we have, well, Domi at Williams with the newest comer to the grid in Mammal as well, his teammate. So welcome to the grid to them. Good luck in your first race of the season. We'll take a look at the standings. The standings, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, your top 3 in the Constructors' Championship right now. And things are being led by 4 points ahead of Alex Bitto by ZZ9 in the Mercedes. Shenjay isn't too far out of striking distance either. And Ben the Bear, Unicorn, quite the up and down season for Ben, the Thai driver in the Red Bull. What do you think about Ben's season here? Do you think we could see something come out of him in Singapore?
Oh, I think Ben is such a strong driver. I think, like you said, up and down for him. Most of the downs been connection issues, so not really an issue in his driving per se. But yeah, I think Singapore, I think it could lend itself quite well to Ben's driving style. He likes to lead from the front, and Singapore, a good track to do that, but he's so far down in the standings now. You know, what's that? 72 points to ZZ9, and don't know if he's going to be able to grab it. I think Red Bull do stand a good chance of winning that constructors, but yeah, Ben, strong driver, but an unfortunate season for him.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see how things go for him in, of course, well, Singapore today. He raced it in Oceanic yesterday. He is a full-time driver in that grid. With all that, I do believe we are just ready to go here racing now. We have 20 drivers on this grid. I do believe we have 1 or 2 reserves joining us today on the grid. I could be mistaken.
I know Wisp is in the reserve role, but other than that, I don't think we are, but definitely 1 or 2 on this grid at least. But still a full grid for Singapore, and that's what we love to see. There you go. Then. Just a few seconds till we load into that qualifying session. 18 minutes, and that's a very short time for qualifying around Singapore.
31 laps. 31. 18 minutes of quali. Things are dry here. I'll have to see what the weather report is. Hoping someone can get it to me as soon as possible. I can know whether or not it was very funny. As soon as I figured we were gonna, like, when Club came through with MRL, and I had realized that we were gonna have a Singapore race on my birthday, I had immediately said, hoping that
Well, I'm sure someone is gonna put your theory to the test. Whether we'll
maybe a little bit of desync. Maybe they're not even.
Yeah, for sure.
We can talk about who
Very
is on
possible.
the grid, though. Basically, the entirety of the full-time roster is here and present racing. I think the only exception is, Brain Stew is here with Mito, and there was one other, Wisp, in over at Red Bull for Remco Van Putten.
And Fraser dashing the hopes. Dry quali, dry race.
Yeah,
We see a safety car tip the balance.
there it goes right there. The hopes and shattered. Thanks for that. Little bit here. Now, who is that first driver out of the pit lane? It is Shen Jie in the Alfa Romeo.
He's pretty confident, I think, coming into this race.
Well, I don't know if you had an opportunity to catch Tier 1 yesterday evening. He lost that race in a heartbreaking fashion. I didn't even have a chance. I haven't spoken to him since, in all honesty. I haven't even had a chance to ask him how it felt, because we had a lap 27 safety car. It was either lap 27 or lap 28 out of 31. Their safety car came in at the end of lap 29 to provide 2 laps of green flag racing. And Brain Stew, who's currently 20th on this timing tower, dispatched Shenjie on the race restart. And he didn't lose that position once he got at Unicorn. He took that win. Shenjie took a 3-second time penalty in the effort to hunt him down as well. And just to add insult to injury. So it was a very tough race for Shenjie. I imagine he has quite the axe to grind here, looking for that win.
Well, he told me just before we started here, probably about 20 minutes ago, that I was going to commentate him winning this race. So he's coming in with high expectations for himself, and well, he's starting the first flying lap here around Singapore. And he's invalidated straight into turn 1, so not starting off on the front foot in that Alfa Romeo.
Well, that could be... I think a couple of these drivers are going to pull things like this intentionally. And the reason being is something we've seen all week is the use of that medium compound tire in the final lap around here. Because it's a medium to hard potential one-stop being the optimal strategy. And we've seen Filipic go hard to medium. We've seen Domi pull off some very, very unique tire strategies as well. And it could just be that they want to make sure that they don't cross that line with a valid lap time, so that they have to start that race on those soft compounds.
Yeah, the medium tire is super strong around here. Starting on the hards as well, not always the worst thing that a driver can do, but obviously 18 minutes is a long time to well, it's more like 13 minutes, because that last 5 minutes is where we start to see people start to hop out onto the track. That's when the track is at its best and most optimum levels of grip for setting that fastest qualifying run. And you only get one set of mediums, and you don't want them to be completely burnt out and dead by the time you get to the end of the lap. Whether we're going to see Jones here, he's coming through Sector 3 right now. Whether we're going to see him round out this lap on the soft gun tyres, or whether he's just going to jump into the pit lane like Shenjie has just done. The Racing Point does look like he's just going to keep going right now.
He's flying here. Yeah, he's going to cross with this. 135.4. Domi. Oh, that's not Domi. It's Mammal, excuse me. I was going to say Zamus, but it's Mammal. 134.85866, excuse me, on the medium compound tire. Mammal is a racer who we saw in the European grid on Monday. No, Tuesday, excuse me. I'm really losing it today. My birthday has got me all shaken up. Mammal had an impressive drive with us in the European split on Tuesday, taking a podium, and I think that was his, well, that was his debut with us here in the MRL.
Yeah, he's been pretty impressive so far, and doesn't look like he's going to disappoint here. And there's an AlphaTauri pointing the wrong way as Domi comes past. Who was that? It's not freeware. It must have been Finn. Doesn't look like there's damage, and it's a slow lap time, so some sort of issue for him in the final sector.
Alex Biddow's flying right now. He's got a lot of traffic, though, in his way. I don't know if there was an issue of any kind. The one thing with all of these drivers, they're out on these softs. They're just kind of rolling along, getting warmed up, getting an idea for the circuit. We haven't seen Ben the Bear get up to any of his tricks yet. Domi's out on an invalidated lap at the moment. Fraser's out on an invalidated lap. Look, they're all sandbagging this qualifying. These drivers are deliberately invalidating laps here. They're getting practice runs in. They're coming through on these soft compound tires. They're just getting some reps around the circuit because everybody wants to jump on to those optimal starting tires, those medium starting tires. Because this grid is the, for those that are new to the club division, this grid is essentially the sandbox of the European grid. Well, in some cases, Oceanic as well, in Ben the Bear's case, but he's been here since day one. We've had Tier 2 and Tier 1 now coming through. We've got Alex Biddow, Shenjie, we've got Astrodite, we have Wisp, we have Fraser, we have all of these. Domi, you know, Domi is leading the Tier 2 championship. Then you have Shenjie, who's leading the Tier 1 championship. And then, who's leading the Oceanic? Ben the Bear is second or third in the Oceanic, and just a tight grid all the way up and down. You have a lot of really, really fast drivers on this grid. ZZ9 being one of them, of course, the leader of this championship in the Mercedes. His teammate, of course, being Fraser. There is potential for a tow opportunity here. We'll have to see if they utilize it because we've seen them do it all season long.
I think another thing is that, like you said, a lot of these drivers come in with Shenjie in mind. You said yesterday, not having the finish of the race that he might have wanted. He comes into this with a little bit of a chance of redemption. This is a lot of these drivers' second race of the week, so regardless of who they raced in that previous race they've had, they come into this one with a fresh opportunity, another league race. There's points on the line. It's still a championship setting, but they come into this with another opportunity. They're against a lot of fast drivers. They've got to be on their best game, and they get to race people that they don't get to race in the other divisions, and it's an exciting prospect, I think, not only for us but the drivers as well, coming into this at the end of the week. As Ben the Bear has started a flyer, whether he's gonna end this one out on the softs. You know, Ben can sometimes put out a little bit of an unorthodox strategy, so if he did finish this lap, I wouldn't be completely shocked.
Well,
I don't expect him to. But
he's the type of driver with the pace, right, Unicorn? That he really has the ability to go with any strategy he so chooses. In the fact that I'm not saying he's, you know, Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher hybrid over here put together, but I'm saying that we've seen him get himself into some very, very hairy situations, and the pace that he's got at his disposal has just brought him into podium after podium. And he's had the up and down season this time around, but we saw him first in CFR last season. We saw some very unique races. US, Brazil, of course. I know you really remember that US race where things were going so well and then so badly. They just flipped on a coin, really. But we'll have to see what he does here. I think he might even quali on these softs just to say, yeah, no problem. I'll come in, I'll get an extra pit stop, whatever, and I'll still win this race. But he likes to present himself with challenges. That is what he has countlessly said to me over the season. He says, yeah, I felt like doing this today. Yeah, and well, he's dropping the time here. He's really shredding the time here. He was on for a very, very fast lap.
Yeah, he also likes... He also favors these strategies where there are maybe one more stop than everyone else, and you get those fresher tires. We could see him when everyone else is, medium to hards. We could just see him at the end of this race on a fresh set of mediums, maybe a fresh set of softs. If he goes soft, medium, soft. I don't know if that would be possible around here. I reckon you might just be able to squeeze it, but maybe soft, hard, soft. Or soft, hards. But Ben, he's always someone who seems to just be cutting his way through the field. He doesn't spend all of that time at the front. He likes to, like you said, give himself a challenge. Make it so he has to work for it at the end. But right now he's sitting second. That time has only just come through for me. I won 34.7.
I was wondering where the time went because he was valid crossing the line, and I didn't get any information out of the lap. Freeware into 8th at 135.863. Freeware, another driver we've had the opportunity to see multiple times around here this week, who has shown stellar performance around this circuit. I have to say, he almost had a very, very good opportunity. Well, he had a very good opportunity for a podium in yesterday's Oceanic race. Liking these softs. 134.1 now. He's increased his fastest lap.
Yeah, looking unbeatable right now with that 134.1, and it's 6/10 faster than Ben's lap time, but we are expecting in the next couple of minutes or so that a lot of these drivers are going to hop out of that pit lane on the mediums and really start putting their foot to the floor. And that's when we'll start to see the time start rolling in and crumbling down as well. So qualifying has barely even begun as a result of the strategy here around Singapore.
As soon as you see these drivers on an outlap using those medium compound tires, you know they're locked and loaded and they're ready to go now, because we're 5 minutes remaining. And 5 minutes really isn't a lot of time to get around Singapore, because you got to think about the fact that it's a near minute and a half lap here. And you're doing an outlap plus your flyer plus an in lap. I mean, you can draw it down to the wire and cross the line, but you will get tire wear if your AI car is still driving those tires on circuit.
Well, the one thing as well is that we sometimes see these drivers do 2 laps on the mediums because it's less punishing. And here we go. We've got Fraser out, we've got Seb out onto the track on the mediums. Seb much further ahead. Alex is coming out as well in that Ferrari. So drivers getting ready. Ben as well. He's out on a fresh set of mediums, getting ready to beat his 134.7. And this is where the times start to crumble down. Jake and Shenjin look like they're going to try and beat their times as well with the mediums.
The first driver that's out right now on these mediums is going to be Seb. Able to do here in the Renault now. Crossing the start-finish line. DRS wide open down into turn 1, and this is going to be the first lap for him. It's next to, well, it is essentially a one-shot for him. Bit of a lockup coming through turn 3.
Yeah, he's really sort of setting some sort of benchmark here for the time on the mediums in these last 5 minutes. Bearing in mind that there might be that little bit of desync between our timer and theirs, so there could still be about 4 minutes. There's a big slide from the Renault. He's held it, but not what you want to be doing.
Well,
they're out of turn 7.
He needs to keep it valid. That's priority 1 here, I think, because he needs a time set. Step 2 would be to get it as quick as he can.
Yeah, but you do, like you said, you've got to get that car around. And as well, a mistake like that, an invalidation, not the end of the world on the mediums. He's out early as well, but if he damaged his car, that's when you have problems, because then you cannot afford to go around again because your time isn't really going to be competitive with a damaged car. So that's something you've got to bear in mind as well for these drivers, that there is the opportunity for that second chance. There's another big slide, and there's that damage.
Well,
that's a huge chunk of damage
but
as well.
he hasn't invalidated it. As much as I hate to say it. Oh, that might be it right there. Well, see ya. There goes the lap. So Seb unable to get a lap in here. I hate to see it, but that was a big snap out from the Renault there. That's the quali session done and dusted for him. Razor, it would seem, has just had a tap of the wall, but could have been some kind of desync. I do believe he'll be one of the next racers to come through on a flyer. There's been an issue with his teammate in ZZ9 as well. ZZ9 slow up, perhaps letting drivers go through. No damage on that Mercedes. Fraser's not doing anything at the moment. I think he might be... I'm not entirely sure. He's invalidated his lap. Very odd. Maxim's flying.
As is Ben as well, and Ben coming through the 3rd sector. He's down for the first 2, but obviously he ended his lap in the final sector last time, so this is where he's going to gain huge amounts of time. It's a 1:33.6 set by Samus, but it's a 1:33. Well, no.
No, that's Ben.
It's Ben. That's Ben.
Yeah, Ben.
Goodness me.
1:33.6 on the medium compound tires, and look who's barking up his rear. It's Alex Biddo in the Ferrari. He's set a 1:34 flat on the mediums, and things are really about to ramp up here. Everybody getting out. Now Zamis, here's an interesting strategy call coming out of the Renault. He decided to go on to another set of softs.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. He's going to start this race on the soft compound tire regardless, so I think that setting that extra lap time to try and beat these guys on the mediums, he wants that track position. He doesn't want to be held behind these drivers on the mediums, but whether he can beat Ben's time, it's a big jump, half a second he's going to knock off if he wants it.
Yesterday, he just crossed a 135.2 in the Haas. He's on soft compound tires. Now, one key thing to note here is, of course, Maxim B, I thought he was flying. No, I think just set that time. So he got that 135.395 on the mediums. A lot of drivers on softs ahead of him that are on mediums now. Good chunk of them anyway on the grid. Brain Stew. Validated. So he's not going to have a time in this one. ZZ9. I am very confused as to what these drivers are doing. Could be that ZZ9 is on a flyer. Yeah, he is.
Zamis is flying, and he is set to jump under that 134 benchmark and at least take Alex Biddo for a spot on the front row of the grid. But where is he going to put this Renault at the start of this race? Can he hop into first, or is he going to be in that 2nd place? But that big slide might cost him either. He might have just relegated himself to the 2nd row of the grid with that mistake. It isn't going to be an improvement for him. He lost about 3/10 of that final sector, and he is going to be kicking himself for that.
ZZ9 P4 in the Mercedes. Shenjay is flying. Freeware is flying. Wisp has just entered the pit lane. Finn is on an invalidated run. He will not be improving. Burke Khan in the racing point is coming through Sector 3. Brain Stew, I think, just crossed the line there. That is the AI-controlled car of Mito. Okay. E14, a 136.2.
Shenjie rounding the last corner in the Alfa Romeo. It's a big improvement, and that's pole a 133.625, half a tenth.
Oh,
Quicker than Ben the Bear.
Yeah, Ben is going to be pissed about that. Ben! Never mind. Shenjie is going to be pissed about that. A 133.589 from Ben the Bear crosses it. Freeware jumped into 6th position. Things really heated up on that grid quickly here. Seb now in that Renault is going to get another lap because of the desync. I thought he wasn't. It's P3 for him. Wow. Just in the nick of time. So it's Ben the Bear, Shenjie, and Seb, your top 3 starting this race. Gap down to 8th position. That's Jake in the Ferrari. 1 second. Gap all the way down to 17th is less than 2 seconds. So this race is going to be quite intense. It is Singapore after all, and we are going to have a dry campaign, which I imagine quite a few of these racers have had quite a big sigh of relief about, because I've been pushing that rain dynamic all week, trying to get it hammered into their head that they were going to face the rain. I think they even put into some extra running, but it is Ben the Bear on pole position. Ty driver shattering Shenjie with, well, both on their last laps. Shenjie beat Ben, and Ben had more in the tank, and he came across. So yes, Ben the Bear on pole position, Shenjie in 2nd, and it's Seb rounding out your top 3 with Alex Bitto in 4th. Zamis rounds out the top 5 here, and we will, of course, as always, go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap.
Well, Ben's really pulled that out the bag just when he needed it. So, really, you can't count him out. You cannot count him out until he's taken that checkered flag. I didn't even realize he was going for another flying lap, but there we are. Those tires must be a little bit worn, though. So, possibly a little bit of a risky strategy, but he is doing the traditional starting on the mediums. We expected we'd see a lot of it here, and that does appear to be what we are seeing.
Well, we'll see how many hard tires we see, because it is going to be the medium hard potential. One stop, I think, is the most optimal strategy here. Have all the drivers look. Bit of a desync.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if Ben would go for a medium soft. It's definitely not the ideal, most optimal strategy, but it just strikes me as the kind of thing that Ben the Bear would do.
Very curious. Tire choices out of these. Of course, the top 10 have to start on the tires that they qualified on, but the rest have free reign here, and it's a full grid, 20 drivers. Of course, if you're right there, if you guys are just tuning in, of course, help us out. Share the stream around. Tell them you're about to watch some very, very intense Singapore action. Dry conditions. Ben the Bear on pole. Look at these tires. Oh, wow. Quite dynamic. Brain Stew with a very interesting choice of compound here. Softs at the rear of this grid unicorn in 20th position for the Italian. Ben the Bear.
That is a very optimistic strategy.
I'm very curious to see what the thought process is behind that. We'll have to see how it plays out for him. Ben the Bear, Shenjie, Seb, your top 3 here. Alex Bitto there in 4th, Zamis in 5th. We have ZZ9 in 6th here, Freeware 7th, Jake 8th, Domi in 9th, Jones in 10th. He's on the softs as well. Mammal in 11th position, Mito 12th, Fraser in 13th, Astrodate 14th here, Jinakari in 15th, Maxim in 16th, Burke in 17th position here with Wisp, Finn, and Brainstew rounding out the final 3 racers on this grid. 4 drivers on softs. They are Seb, Zamis, Jones, and Brainstew. Majority of the grid on the mediums. Fraser, Maxim, and Finn have all opted for the hardest compound of tires.
the fact that those two Renaults are on those softs, that could pose, and they're not too far away from each other either. So if they don't get a gap going, one of them is going to pit on a lap when they may not want to. We see these tyres go for about 6 laps when you start on them. So if Zamas is still behind Seb and pretty close behind him, it could cause a little bit of an issue for him in that Renault in 5th place right now, but everyone else pretty spaced away from their teammates. But it was the 2 Williams.
I think Zamis. This is my honest opinion. I think that these Renaults, Alex Bitto's the last guy you want to be dealing with, whether it be in your rear view or ahead of you. You know, looking at Seb, he's got that Spaniard in the rear. Zamis has him ahead, and we know how difficult it can be to get through the Spaniard. And this is, from what he has said, one of his absolute favorite circuits. He was very, very frustrated with the fact that we had the wet conditions yesterday. So we could see a little bit of heroics coming out of him today. I'd like to, that's for sure. But we have all of the cars now approaching this grid. We're about to take off for 31 laps around Singapore, and Unicorn, of course, take us away.
Well, here we go. I'll be interested to see what sort of launch those Renaults on those soft compound tyres can get. And the drivers, again, evidently not seeing the lights that we've seen. They're not even revving their engines yet. Huge amount of desync for us at the moment. There we go. Revs are starting to climb. And we are underway here at Singapore for the final Grand Prix of the week. It's Freeway with an absolutely stunning start, getting straight past Zamas. And Bitto, he's gone wide through turn 1, and that's Seb up the inside going into turn 3. The Renault just giving Bitto enough space, and that's giving the Ferrari enough traction to get out ahead of his rival. ZZ9, he and Jake are locked in a wheel-to-wheel battle. It's Jake up past the Mercedes, who's had a terrible start as well.
There's a racing point off.
Jones is out.
Yeah, that's a big crash for the Racing Point. Terminal damage there. Could we see a safety car already here on the opening lap of this race? I think it would be the first safety car this week that we've seen on the opening lap of a race. But that car is at the rear of this grid, and I don't think it's likely at this point in time. Fraser and, of course, Wisp are exchanging right now. There goes Wisp ahead of Fraser. Fraser with the switchback now in that Mercedes. He's looking up the inside. Is he going to get it done on the way into the turn? A big lock up there and a squeeze from Fraser. Very tight battling between him and the Swede and Wisp, of course, and this grid is completely heated. We have Mammal wheel-to-wheel with Brainstew. Brainstew, Unicorn, he started this race in 20th, and he's into 13th, the Italian, and he's going at the inside of Astrodite now. Astrodite a little bit deep there. Both drivers with the space. Brainstew's on an absolute tear with these softs right now.
Yeah, well, Brainstew on those softs, it's benefited him, but it hasn't benefited the 2 Renaults. Freeway still absolutely blistering start, and Alex Bitto as well, just squeezing past Seb on those first few corners, but they haven't benefited. Just need to try and get Wisp back in here, as he seems to have had some sort of disconnect here.
Hurricane Khan right now has the Italian and Brainstew in 12th position. On his rear, Jake is hunting down Mito. You can see the position changes on screen there. We have a couple of things coming up on the race director, penalties and things like that. Fastest laps are being updated as we cross into, of course, the second lap of this race. We've already had so much action, and this grid isn't showing any sign of separation right now with Mammal. He's hunting down Astrodite for 13th position. He wants to climb through this grid. He has serious pace. We saw it on Tuesday. What will he be able to do in that Williams here, his new full-time seat in this club division grid? He looks at Astrodite now. Astrodite not having the best carry through that turn, and here we have Mammal looking at it, taking advantage now to the inside. His fronts are on the rear of that Haas, but he is a bit earlier on the brakes. But there goes Astrodite, a big lockup up ahead. We have Burke Khan falling to the Italian of Brainstew. ZZ9 is disconnected, so it would appear. And now to the inside of turn 13, Brainstew on the AI-controlled car of ZZ9. That was absolutely crazy. And we have, well, I get alt-tabbed out of nowhere. Lovely. Anyway, back to the action. ZZ9 dropping like a stone in this grid. Oh, yeah. Twice now. Very odd. Very odd why I would be getting Alt-Tab mid-race.
Yeah, just been trying to work out what's been going on with ZZ9. It looks like he's still in the session, so not quite sure what's going on with him. Looks like some sort of lag spike, but it is freeway. He's about to get DRS, but he might not need it. He's got an excellent run on the inside of Seb, and there we go with the rear wing, and he's just breezing past that Renault. And Zamus might be under a bit of threat from Domi as well. Down into turn 7. Domi just clinging on at the moment, not quite being able to make the move. Is he going to go up into the inside of 8? No, he's backed out of that one. Okay, Khan and Mammal as well there, exchanging.
Oh, I really held my breath for a second there. I thought Burke might have made contact with the rear, but Burke has an entirely different problem now. Astrodate is keeping up with him quite well. Astrodate taking a little bit of time here perhaps to come into these tires. Damis and Domi now, the exchange has been made out of turn 13. DRS and utilization, and now there is the McLaren of Brain... No, that is Mito, excuse me, looking at him. Brainstew's very close behind, though. And if these two continue to fight, Zamis is in trouble, and these softs, they are going to burn out fairly quick for both Zamis and Brainstew, considering Brainstew's been fighting through this field entirely. And the timing tower has decided to have its games.
Yeah, the timing tower not being the most useful right now. Fraser had a look at the inside of Janikari, but Janikari is still in that position, and Brainstew has got past Zamus, who is hopping into the pits already, and it looked like he had that slowed down, but he has picked up that 5-second penalty. We've seen that plenty of times before, and it looks like it's hards. It's hards for Zamus. It's going to try and take those to the end.
They're so tight in this battle for final points right now. Burke Khan is at the front of this train. You can see Mammal has pulled away massively from him. Damas made that call to jump in for hards very early. We've had no safety car, and this could be a good move for him, because should we have a safety car later on in the race, he'll have access to some good tires. Astrodate and Burke are fighting right now. A little bit of contact. Both Haas drivers are really tight to this racing point. Now there is Fraser. So tight to Janikari. Burke Khan in 10th. Oh, Astrodate's hit the wall. Now he's gone into the racing point, and there's a big crash. Oh my, that is so most certainly a safety car. Both racing points are canceled from this race inside of the first 5 laps.
Yeah, that garage going to be very, very unhappy with how that's gone. Ben the Bears picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car.
No.
That is going to affect this race a lot.
Well, we talked about Ben wanting to give himself challenges, but I didn't think he meant to put himself into a drive-through penalty situation. This grid is extremely congested. Still, Unicorn.
Well, the leaders taking this opportunity to get themselves onto some fresh tyres, apart from Alex Biddo, who is staying out. And I can't lie, I think he's had a pretty bright idea in staying out. I think everyone else, so obviously Seb, Brainstew getting off those sots. Brainstew up in 8th right now. This is excellent for him.
You know, I think this is very good for Zamis as well, because he undercut this safety car.
Well, I think he's still going to come out pretty far down.
Oh yeah, he has been quite... Yeah, now that I see where he is, I can see that he's just coming through Sector 3 now. Most of these drivers are on exit out of the pit lane.
But I think for the likes of Alex Biddo, Freeware, Fraser, and Maxime B as well, those two are ones to watch at the end of this race, because they can go for quite some time on these hard compound tyres. They've now got the track position that they lacked earlier. And you can see they've both gained. Fraser's gained 10 places, and Maxime B's up 12, Finn's up 13, and Wisp up 11 right now. So some strong... Well, they're not there on position changes in terms of overtakes, but staying out under the safety car, I think it's a pretty good idea right now. And I'm sure Ben is going to be regretting that drive-through quite significantly.
All I can say is, Unicorn, throughout this season, in all of the races that we've had the opportunity to cover, we've come up with quite the montage of Crashgate highlights. We'll have to make a top 10 one of these days. Because there have been some very, very unique incidents throughout the season. Of course, my mind for Singapore, at the very least, thinks back to what happened with Kai Bacchini and Tim, you might recall.
Well, that was race ending, and you know, and we're getting towards the closing stages of the season now, and for Kai being in, you know, he's hunting Domi for that championship, and having that crash and getting no points from that race really doesn't help him in his charge to get back up to the front of that pack. So yeah, that one not only sticks in my mind as a big crash, but also a fairly monumental moment in the championship as a whole. I'll be like Bottas crashing in real life.
And the bear, he's gonna have to really put on some serious pushing power here, because you gotta remember he's got this drive-through penalty, and I'm keen to see when he serves it, if it's immediately after, or if he tries to extend to get some overtaking done.
Yeah, if I was Ben, what would I do in this situation? It's a tricky one for him. He's taken that safety car and got onto the hard, so he's got rid of the pit stop that he would have had to do. But whether we see him come in again, maybe some mediums later in the race, maybe he hops onto some softs to try and grab a few positions late game, but...
Well, I don't think the hards will make it from here. I don't think they will. Not with any kind of pace to be competitive should he come under threat. And I think that's the problem for him. Because he's on these hards, Unicorn, and he's got to chop his way through this entire grid. Because as soon as he comes in for that drive-through, he's fast, but he's not going to get ahead of the 4 cars in front of him in one lap. I don't think unless there's a big issue. And I think we're going to see it come. Yeah, there it is. So race control safety car is coming in this lap, which means things fall to the Spaniard leading this race. Let's take a look at the position changes just while we're heating things up in the tires here. Alex is up 3, Freeware is up 5, and Fraser is up 10 positions to where he is on the, well, original podium, if you will. Maxim's up 12 positions. Ben is down 4 from where he began on pole. Finn is up 13. Shenjay is down 5. Wisp is up 10. There's a bit of an exchange there, it would seem. Anyway, Seb down 6. Domi down 1. Mito up 1. He's exchanged with Mammal. Inkari up 2. Brainstew up 6. Damas down 10. Jake down 8. Easy9 down 11 with Astrate down 4. And that is the position changes for this one, as Alex Bitto has hammered it down. He is gone. And we'll see who he caught here.
It's not who he's caught. Ben's had an issue. Something within him and Finn has cost them a huge amount of time. I think they got that bug where someone was told to overtake, and that's just put a huge gap in this grid. You can see Ben is 3.5 seconds, and that, again, is not going to help his racing opportunity. It looks like Shinikari, he's getting pretty close to the rear of Brainstew, who's stuck behind Mammal, but... See, there's this big battle here.
Seb, wheel to wheel with Domi now. Very intense here. Seb holds it in 8th position. Domi's got serious momentum on these mediums. He's also got Mito crawling up his gearbox. And this is absolute intensity in this backpack. Shenjay makes it ahead of Finn. We'll jump onto that in a second. Big lockup from the Renault there. Still wheel to wheel between these drivers. Shenjay's dispatch Finn, Seb, Domi wheel to wheel, and it's, of course, Mammal and Mito wheel to wheel behind them. The two Williams are engaged in some serious action right now. There goes Domi ahead of Seb. Mammal.
Brainstew as well.
Mammal's dropped into 12th. Brainstew is having a look at Mito. Things are so intense in this midfield, and the separation has been huge with that issue with Ben for this grid, and I imagine it caused a big chain reaction. Mito's gone into the wall. Brainstew's taken damage.
As well. What? They were doing so well. All 5 drivers side by side through Singapore, and Seb's had a spin, and he's collected Mito as well. Mito's just not stopped the car. I think Mito's out. He is.
Mito's out. Mammal had to slow down and correct, and there we have another safety car, and this has been massive. This has been a massive crash. And this is, you know what I'm going to say, Unicorn, safety cars, they breed safety cars. Especially in dry conditions, Singapore with a grid as aggressive as this. Holy moly.
Yeah, that one was... I don't quite know where Mito's car broke. Also, I don't think Ben has served that drive-through penalty. There's no way he's still in third with serving it. So he has to be very on it, and he needs to come in, I do believe, when the safety car ends, that lap. Otherwise, or he might have one lap after it, but we have seen it before where disqualifications from drivers not being on top of their penalty management have been a real problem in these races. Jake's out as well. Is he? But it looks like he might have crashed the car. The car's gone, so we're not going to see it. I don't know whether he's crashed the car there out of turn 4. I can't see any debris, but like I said, that car's disappeared.
Five drivers out of this race now. Very unfortunate.
I mean, those guys, before that incident, to keep it that clean through that section of Singapore with 2 cars going side by side behind each other, and then another car behind them looking to try and make the positions, they were showing such class and just so much skill, and it's just an unfortunate incident. You've got, Seb spinning, and then Mito, it's a blind corner, he wouldn't have seen it. Obviously the yellow flags would have been thrown up, but the reaction time there, not quite, there's not a lot of space to go, especially around a tight wall track of Singapore as well. So an unfortunate incident that's collected number 2. Not quite sure what's happened to Jake in that Ferrari. He's retired under the safety car conditions. Not something we're all too familiar to seeing, unless you're the George Russells or the Roman Grosjeans of this world. But an unfortunate few laps for this race.
Firing shots, Unicorn. Firing shots. Domi in 6th position. He's the only driver in the top 10 on these mediums. 3 laps old for him. Domi has had some very stellar drives around Singapore this week. I imagine a lot of these drivers are quite keen to get out of Singapore and potentially through Russia as well. I don't know how many of the racers are big, massive fans of the Sochi Autodrome, where we will be, of course, visiting next week for round 17 of the Tier 2, Tier 1, and Club Division grids. That'll be round... What round is that then for the EU? I think that'll be round 12 for the EU grid and round 7 for the Oceanic split. So much racing we've had this season. We'll also be back, if I'm not mistaken, next weekend to the Endurance Series unit.
Yeah, again, not a track in game, so I think it's going back down to a vote in the Discord as to what track we'll be visiting. But yeah, another 100% race. Those are always very fun. Some late night drama for me and everyone here in the UK, but super fun events. And I don't know what tracks are on offer for that. I think Canada might be in that poll off the top of my head, but
according to Jake coming across in the chat, technical issues, it would appear, with his brake in the reality. So on his end. So I'm certainly hoping that he's able to fix that.
Yeah, and something like Jones had some sort of mechanical issue as well, resulting in his early retirement. But here we go. Safety car's in. Fraser this time, leading the charge for the restart. But
we got to keep an eye on Ben the Bear here, because I think his best course of action is to come into the pit lane right now. Yeah, there it is. He's coming in.
No, he doesn't want to speed here. That would be all over for him.
Yeah, he got it slowed down.
Well, Domi up the around the outside of Finn, and he's caught him somewhat sleeping. He's straight past the AlphaTauri. Mammal looking at the rear of Zamus, and Shinikari wide out of turn 3. Is Zamus going to be able to take him around the outside of turn 4? The Renault looking very promising with the position, and a nice move for Zamus. Can Mammal follow him through? He's getting a nice little slipstream off of the back of Shinikari and down the straight. No DRS, but he doesn't need it. He is straight past into turn 7. Super nice moves coming out of Zamus and Mammal, but Shinikari not going to be too happy with how that restart's gone for him.
No, not at all. And he has ZZ9 and Alex Bido hard charging behind him, and he has a big pack, 5 cars behind on much fresher rubber here, and the rubber makes all the difference at the end of this race in Singapore. And Alex Bido, he really wants to win here in Singapore. I've talked to him about it through this week. He's put some time in around the circuit. We come through turn 13 now. No DRS for these drivers yet, but he would normally have it on these cars. And now we have an exchange for position between the two Alfa Romeos, and it looks like Domi wants to sneak on through. Shenjay's in second position. Maxim has just dropped to, of course, his teammate and Domi now inside of 2 turns. Domi on these medium compound tires, he is going to have more pace in this car than the hard compound tire ahead in Shenjay's, well, on Shenjay's Alfa Romeo. So we'll have to see what Domi's able to do here early.
Yeah, I think Alex Bido definitely one to watch in this race. Very well poised to do some damage. Freeway behind him as well, if he can follow Alex through the traffic. Don't want to be doing too much battle as Zamus is going to have a look around the outside of Finn into turn 1. And another nice move for Zamus around the outside of a car. He is on a little bit of a charge right now. Slightly fresher tyres than the AlphaTauri. Pretty nicely for himself right now, as Mammal as well. He's going to have a look at Finn. I don't know if he's going to have the run here around the outside of turn 7. Quite a risky move. There's a lot of curbing and outside one of area, but a lovely switchback from the Williams. That is textbook racing. A Mammal up into P6. That was a beautiful overtake strip. That one's going to go in a highlight reel somewhere. He's up 5 places in this race, and doing moves like that, he deserves to be.
This train is huge, and we have a great view of it from the aerial shot. But we're going to jump on board with Alex Bido for a second. Of course, things are quite locked up between Shenjay and Domi, with Fraser leading them away right now. We're going to jump on there in a second. Brainstew and Astrolite having a bit of an exchange. I want to take a look at the front end of that Haas and, of course, the McLaren. Both clean through. Like to see clean overtaking. That's a tight section of circuit. We take a look now. ZZ9 makes it ahead of the Haas. And who else is in on this? That's Alex Bido. Is he going to get this move done? Ooh, so tight, but he does. He gets ahead of Jinkari, and here we have Freeware now. Freeware's looking to inherit. Coming through Sector 3. You don't see a lot of overtakes happen in this section of the circuit. Things can go so wrong here if you try and it doesn't go according to plan, and you can hear walls being bashed behind them. I'm not entirely sure if anybody had contact or if there's any debris, but things are very intense in this grid right now. Of course, Freeware has the run on Jinkari. He's looking to squeeze him off. Now Freeware down the outside. Does he have the space? Does he keep it clean? Yes, he does. Finn has an issue. He exceeds, and he's looking with Alex Bido at ZZ9. Finn on the inside. A big cut coming out of the AlphaTauri here. Razor at the front. Unicorn, take us through what's going on between these front runners.
Yeah, well, Fraser, he looked like he was so strong, but now Shenjay and Domi have caught him up, and Domi on these fresh mediums still hasn't made his way past Shenjay. But Shenjay, his pace not worrying him right now, and he's Ben the Bear still absolutely miles away. Obviously, he was the one that Shenjay was rivaling at the start of this race. They were so tight in qualifying, and now Ben still struggling. We've got the two Hasses and Finn. Wisp as well in this battle. There's 4 cars all side by side through the sector 2, and a little bit of a light tap from Shinakari. It's almost a spin. He is struggling big time in this race right now for this restart. And Alex Biddo did put him between Freeware and himself, but the battle that was going on between ZZ9 and I do believe it was Finn, I think he might have dropped a little bit.
Oh, that battle between these drivers trying to catch up with that final points position has been absolute intensity. Wisp is just not holding anything back here. Ben the Bear is going to be looking to catch up with this very soon, and when Ben does catch up with this, we're going to have to lock onto him for a bit. We have quite a bit of racing to do around here, and I know what Ben is capable of. We've seen it throughout the season, having to make up little things like this. He calls them challenges, and we'll have to see if he's able to really conquer this one here, as Wisp has now made it ahead of Finn for 12th position. 2.8 seconds ahead is Astrolite. Astrolite has now fallen off of Brainstew a little bit here. He is just outside of the points. We're going to take a look at Mammal. Mammal is on the rear of Zamis. Zamis is in that Renault, of course, sitting in P5. Mammal wanting to, I imagine, dispatch the founder of the league. That would be a nice accolade. Hey, remember that time in Singapore when I overtook you nicely? Yeah, let's have a nice time. So, big end plate. Who was that? Maxim, the Canadian, missing that front right end plate, and I think Zamis and Mammal both picked up on it.
Well, Ben's getting mightily close, and it's reminding me a lot of Hamilton in Monza this year when he had that penalty to serve in the pit lane and he had to fight back up to the points, and I think we're going to see a very similar race coming out of Ben the Bear. Shinakari looking up the inside of a damaged Finn. DRS enabled on the Alpha Tauri, and it's the Haas looking around the outside, but Finn's don't know how to brake here. That's straight into the wall for him. That's the first position Ben the Bears had to take. He sort of just inherited that one naturally. Not too much work for the Red Bull, but
Maxim has big issues right now. Big issues. He's got Zamis and Mammal hunting him down. Here we have Zamis to the inside now into the first turn. Mammal's going to have his chance in a second. Maxim holding around the outside right now. Is he going to keep this? There's Mammal. No chance for Maxim here, I have to say. But he is going to try on the inside now with Mammal coming around the outside. Is there any contact? No. Mammal clean through on the Alfa Romeo, and ZZ9 has the Ferrari of Alex Biddo on his rear, and they are going to be with this Alfa Romeo very, very soon.
yeah, there's this nice little train right now for P7. You got ZZ9 leading Alex Biddo.
Around the outside, Mammal. Him and Zamis have had a little bit of a coming together. Hard racing between these two. Mammal has made it into 4th position. Maxim now has taken advantage of this, and he has put himself once again ahead of the Renault. Zamis has Alex
Biddo up the inside of ZZ9. That's a very opportunistic move from the Red Ferrari.
A VSC has been deployed, and I have no idea as to why.
Yeah, who is that for?
I think it might have been Jinkari. He's got no front wing on that Haas Unicorn. So I do believe we have had a VSC as a result, and this has really slowed things down for a minute to let us catch our breath. Let's take a look at the position changes on the timing tower.
Well, that move from Alex Biddo, super nice to Zamis being inserted into that battle. Really helped him out, but like you said, look at the position changes, and Fraser up 10 in 3rd, Domi up 7 in 2nd, behind Shen Jie, who's inherited that first place from Ben's penalty. Mammal, he's up 7 into 4th, and Maxime as well with damage up 11. But we are back to green flag racing, and there are multiple drivers looking to take advantage. Freeware on the rear of ZZ9. ZZ9 defends the inside line. Is it going to be enough? It's not. Freeware, he's still following Alex Biddo through this grid. These guys on these hard compound tires, fresher than the guys like Shenjay. And there's Brainstew as well coming out the outside of ZZ9. He came out of absolutely nowhere on my screen. And he's absolutely blown past.
He teed him up beautifully. I have to say, he teed up ZZ9 absolutely beautifully. And he got it. That was clean as, I have to say. Now Maxim B He has a serious Ferrari in his rearview mirrors. Freeware is not the driver Alex wants behind him, getting stuck behind a driver in a circuit like Singapore with wing damage, that is for sure. Alex Bido has had his fair share of encounters with drivers ahead of him with wing damage. Of course, think back to Suzuka, the finale of Season 2, when Alex went off. That was a result of the driver ahead having wing damage. And here we have him now on the outside, around the outside, and he has made it through on Maxim B. Now Freeware is next in line to dispatch the Canadian in the Alpha, and we'll see what he's able to do about it. It's the Alpha versus Alpha wheel-to-wheel now through a section where you really wouldn't normally see it, and he has made the move done into 7th position. Freeware, lovely stuff.
Well, it's not all fun and games for Freeware. He picked up a 3-second time penalty. He had to do that, though, because that new DRS zone down out of Sector 2 gave Alex Bido that overtake. He timed it perfectly because, like you said earlier, you cannot really overtake through Sector 3, and we've just seen Freeware try and force the move. Not really working out for him after picking up that 3-second time penalty. But it's the only way he could keep up with Alex Bido at this stage of the race, stay in that DRS zone. So it's a sacrifice he's willing to make, but I don't think he's going to finish 3 seconds ahead of Alex Bido if the race stays as it is right now, as we've got Brain Stew hunting Maxime B. His tyres about half the age, and DRS and ERS enabled, the McLaren is going to have no problem dispatching a damaged Alfa Romeo, but they get very close to contact through turn 7, and it's ZZ9 and Aphrodite on the rear of this battle. No one picking up the scraps as Maxime B and Brent did very well not to come together there. They were getting very, very close.
Yeah, this is a circuit that brings so much pressure when you and you have these drivers. You're looking in your review every turn. I would be ensuring that you don't need to make a quick adjustment to try and compensate for a dive or something like this, an aggressive move from the driver behind it, because these drivers are very, very aggressive. They're very opportunistic as well. If you make a mistake, you can almost guarantee that somebody is going to attempt to make a move, especially when they're deadlocked in positions like this. Things are so intense in this fight right now. You have the fight between Alex Bido and Freeware for P5, with Zamis leading things there.
Oh, Aphrodite spun! Aphrodite's had a spin coming out of, I believe it's turn 18. It's turn 19, but that's allowed Westman Ben. No, he's just clipped some sort of curb, I think. Just a little bit of wheel spin, and Ben the Bear on the rear of his teammate. Our team order is going to come into effect here. He is now well and truly caught up with the pack. There are some big battles that I'm sure don't really want the presence of the likes of Ben to join, but I don't think they're going to have any choice. ZZ9 and Maxime B exchanging in. Alex Bido as well. What's happened to him? He's spun.
No, the Ferrari
is facing the wrong way.
No, the Ferrari is going to be so upset about that. And who is it ahead of him? It's Ben the Bear, as Wisp is looking for the Ferrari. He isn't going to get him. Oh no, this is exactly what Alex did not want to happen here. Freeware is now going to go and hunt down Zamis all by himself. Oh no. Ben the Bear. This is one thing that is fortunate for Alex Bido, is if he's able to keep up with Ben the Bear, we know what Ben the Bear is able to do. He's going to try and clear through this grid surgically, and Maxim B is first up on the menu. A bit of a slide out from the Red Bull there. Freeware with Zamis. We're gonna jump on with this because, well, Freeware. Let's take a look at the tires right now. He's got a little bit fresher rubber. Things are holding well between Ben and Maxim.
Yeah, someone I want to draw your attention to, Strifium as well. 12 laps on those mediums. Not going to be able to go the entirety of the race on that compound, as Ben the Bear looking to dispatch Maxime B down in the inside of turn 1. Very nicely done from him, absolutely breezing past the Alfa Romeo.
Alex Bido on the inside of Maxim as well. He's looking to get it done as soon as he can. He needs to keep up with Ben, and he gets it done. A little bit of a squeeze there. The damage playing a role. And Zamis and Freeware, yeah, down into turn 7. Freeware on the inside has dispatched the Renault, but Zamis with a great exit Is he going to have the move around the outside here? Oh, what a tight battle between Freeware and Zamus, but that is going to be Freeware into 5th position.
Yeah, Shinikari's had another issue. Spun it through Sector 3, now facing the right way, but significant wing damage, forcing him back to the pits. Brace as well, running without an end plate right now. Don't know how long he's been suffering with that damage, but not going to be doing him any favors, and it's going to be hurting his pace now. Ben back into the points. He's going to see that loss of pace, and he's going to take full advantage, probably down between the DRS zone out of turn 4, I would imagine. If not before then, that's actually turn 5. But
I'm going to take a quick there, Unicorn. Quick shout out in the chat. Thank you very much to Mr. Rage F1. Greatly appreciate the rate of 10. Welcome into the race. We're here in Singapore. And the bear right now hunting down Brain Stew. Less than 1 second is the gap. Things, and we have these little battles unfolding all over the grid.
Yeah, well, this one's not just a battle, it's part of a full-blown war, and that campaign is Ben the Bear trying to charge from 15th to 1st. He's got his work cut out, but here he goes. One battle, one. It's Ben getting past Brainstew again. That McLaren suffering damage. Not really a fight that Brainstew needs to have here. Doesn't need to take it. Just let Ben past. Use the DRS, hopefully down out of turn 13. That's what he's going to be hoping for, but Ben's pace might not grant him that opportunity. You've got ZZ9 next on Ben's hit list, and ZZ9 on very similar tyres to Ben, so it's going to be an easy overtake for Ben, but definitely possible and not out of reach for him. Fraser as well, he's started to catch Domi back up as Domi's tyres reaching the end of their stint. 13 laps on those mediums, a lock up from him, not going to be helping his tyre wear either.
You know, we still have a lot of racing here. We're only 2/3 of the way through. Brainstew's just taken a 3-second time penalty. Alex Bido is hunting him down in that McLaren, and Alex Bido, after that spin, he's not going to be too thrilled. But fortunately, he didn't take damage, which has kept him in a very good position in this race. But we still have potential for a safety car, and with the amount of exchanging that we have seen, the factor that there are still drivers that need to come in and, well, get some fresh tires, especially Fraser. He hasn't stopped in this race. Now he's on the rear of Domi. Domi on those 14-lap-old mediums, I imagine. He's going to have to come in as well. He's not going to be making it to the end on those. And this is going to present a unique dynamic.
Yes, indeed. What did Domi start this race on? He started on the mediums. Domi needs to try and pull these to the end, or he's going to have to go to hards. Whereas Fraser could go to another few laps, hop onto some softs.
Which tires did Domi start on?
Mediums. He has to go to something else. He cannot finish the race on a medium compound.
Yeah, he needs to get on to some softs or hards here. So he's pushing these for softs. So yeah, guaranteed. There's no way he'll jump on hards at this point. That would be, well, I think you and I would both be able to agree. That would be a bad decision.
Well, I'm looking at Ben. Where does this put Ben? Freeware is looking very strong. 11-lap-old hards right now. Let's not forget Shenje as well. 8 seconds in the lead right now. You said you didn't think these tires could go to the end. I think he's not had to battle anyone. I think Shenje could see them through to the end. Whether Zamus, ZZ9, Ben, Mammal, whether they can see those hards to the end. Different question, but Shenje, he's just had to hold his own out there. Hasn't been engaged in too many battles, and might benefit him here big time. But Fraser and Domi, here goes Fraser. He's got so much more pace. You can just see that Domi's tires really aren't. They're not giving anything to him anymore. He has got very little traction. Brainstew's just hopped onto a fresh set of mediums, presumably a wing change as well. And Ben getting pretty close to the rear of ZZ9, but ZZ9 DRS on Zamas ahead. That's keeping him in that 7th place right now. And this race far from over with just 10 laps to go.
And the Bear he hasn't been able to dispatch ZZ9 here. And well, fortunately, they're keeping up with Zamas. But Zamas is dropping time to freeware. He's on 16 lap old hards, and he's putting himself as a very good anchor for freeware here in this grid, and he's really hampering the progress. Ben the Bear, he's gonna have DRS on ZZ9, but ZZ9 has the DRS on Zamas, and he's able to hold off Ben at the moment. Ben really needs to close up here and get a rocket exit, or he's gonna have struggles.
Yeah, I can see Ben, if he gets the exit out of turn 23, down with DRS into turn 1, may be able to forge a way through there and then use the DRS out of turn 5 to defend the return move from ZZ9. That's what I would imagine he's going to try and do here, but not the greatest exit out of turn 21. And that's going to cost him the run here. Yeah, he's not going to get it.
Yeah,
he's stuck in a DRS train, and this is... It's another hurdle added to the challenge. We certainly like to challenge, but I think this one gonna prove to be insurmountable here, unless something drastic happens. And it looks like Shinikari. No, it's the other Haas. It's Astrodite.
Well, that's the last thing he's got no damage. He's got no damage.
I'm not quite sure what he's doing.
He's in the final points position right now, Astro. So he's had a very up and down race, considering the collision, we'll call it, with Hurricane Khan.
Yeah, but this battle for 6th is really... It's going to play... Well, it's also worth mentioning that this battle is going to cost them, because they've got Domi and Fraser up ahead of them. They both have to pit, so there's positions to be gained here.
Well, they have lost a second to freeware in this fight, in the last lap alone.
They've also got Alex Biddo, who's about to join the fun as well. He's just cracked under 1 second, and he will be joining the DRS train out of the last corner.
Oh, and he's not the type of driver to stick around. And when Ben sees Alex Biddo, I think Ben's gonna have to take some risks.
Yeah, and Alex is on fresher tires as well, so he's got that going for him too. So here goes Domi. Domi is into the pit lane. He is ready to get onto some softs. It's going to be difficult to take it to the end, but they will make it. I imagine we'll see Fraser coming at the end of the next lap. And Domi has dropped like a stone. He's going to come out here in 9th place all on his own. And he needs this battle for 5th place to really
he wants that to continue.
These drivers.
Yeah, he wants that to continue all the way until he can catch up. And we have ZZ9 now with the run on Zamas, and this is where things are going to start to break free here. Zamas, those tires, they're letting go on him now, as ZZ9 has made it ahead. Let's see what Ben the Bear is able to do.
He can't make it. Yeah, he looked up the inside, but he knew it wasn't worth it. It's so tough. You want to make it past, but track around Singapore, there's so many corners that it looks like you might be able to send it out the inside, but then you have to turn in that little bit more, and it causes a spin, causes an end plate loss. And right now, at this stage of the race especially, that is race-ending stuff. You've still got Alex, but they're just sort of watching like a hawk, ready to pick up what everyone else is putting down in this fight.
Meanwhile, Domi's catching up massive on these softs.
Yeah, and Domi could pick up a fastest lap as well. I'm sure him and Fraser are going to be battling out for that. Fraser stayed out another lap here, so he doesn't trust the softs to make it to the end, it would seem, from here. And it is a tight call. 8 laps is possible, but tough. Especially if Fraser doesn't have a fresh set, if he used them up in qualifying, but I can't imagine that he used them all. Ben looking up the inside. I think he's just trying to force a mistake from Zamas, and Zamas putting on an excellent defensive drive. You can see ZZ9 breaking away. There goes Ben, though. An excellent exit out of turn 3 around the outside looking. And that is P6. for Ben. But I think Alex Bido, he's going to follow through here. So Ben hasn't lost the
Ben's
Spaniard.
in huge
Quite
problem.
the opposite.
Yeah, he's got him really hard here. Alex Bido 2-1. Coming down into turn 7. Around the outside is the Spaniard here in Singapore. And that was as clean as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Alex Bido go. 15-lap old hards are treating him exactly how he wants them to right now.
Oh, Wisp's had an issue. He's had to completely spin that car around. Brain Stew on the rear of Maxime B. They're about to have a little battle going down through turn 6. That's Brain Stew up into P10, into the final points position. Now surely Fraser comes in at the end of this lap.
He's
7
on
laps.
Quite the run here. And Shenjay, he's checked out. He's checked out right now.
Yeah, here comes Fraser into the pit lane. He'll be going for those fresh softs. And is he going to get thrown out here?
Ben's not thrilled about being behind Alex Bido, I can tell you that. The carry of momentum he had there, it is Fraser onto the softs. Where is he going to slot out here? His teammate ZZ9 is going to take him.
Domi's the issue.
Domi's the issue, yeah. Damas, what's he going to do? He's on these 20-lap old hards.
Well, Domi's got him. Domi's got a massive undercut. Whether his tyres make it to the end, that's another question. I think they'll just scrape by. But it's Ben on the rear of Alex Bido. No DRS for the Ferrari. And Ben is going to repay the favour of last lap and take Alex Bido. And the pair of them, they're going to want...
What's happened here? It's Brain Stew. Yeah, he's... I thought for a second there was an issue. He was running in the points for a moment. Why did he... Oh, dear. Oh, well. That's very unfortunate. Not entirely sure what happened to the Italian. Of course, the Brain Stew's here in a reserve capacity today. Filling in for Burke.
You know, can Ben and Bido hunt back down ZZ9? ZZ9's put on a strong display of pace since he got clear of Zamas all those laps ago. And he's carved himself a 1.7 second gap. Whether it's going to stay like that, we'll have to wait and see. As flags are popping up everywhere, but not quite sure who they're directed at.
Things have really spaced themselves out on this grid. Let's take a look at the position changes. Not a lot of red in the remaining racers on this grid. Ben the Bear down 4, Alex Bido down 2, Zamas down 3. Everybody else on the grid has netted a position, and I think Jinkari is going to do the same here once he gets through Brain Stew.
Well, Domi is looking pretty solid in 7th as well. I'll be interested to see where he ends up. He's hunting these pair
at the
down.
Speed of Fraser here. Is he going to have a look at Zamas? Oh, that was close. He had so much speed. He's caught Zamas massively here. Zamas on the much older tires.
Yeah, and speaking of speed, Domi absolutely crumbling the gap to Alex Bido ahead. The soft compound tyres doing him a huge lot of favours. And he's got some DRS range of before. I didn't think he'd made it into the detection zone, but he has. And he is well and truly going to throw a spanner in the works of all three of these drivers. ZZ9 might be just far enough up the road to not have trouble, but if he starts getting engaged in a battle with Ben, that's going to cost him time. And, well, there's a Hungarian looking for positions. And I don't think he's going to stop until he gets to Alex Bido first in line. And that's an issue for...
What is going on?
It could have been either of the Alfa Romeos. It was Maxime B. It wasn't Shenjay leading this race. That really would have made things Very, very interesting if Shenji had an issue at this late stage, but it appears he's okay.
Damas is serving a penalty in the pit lane here, getting onto some
Domi around the outside on the
tires.
softs.
Ooh. Trying to get the camera
Very
angles, and
wide.
it doesn't want to give them to me, but we've got it now. Still fighting. Alex still on the inside, just ahead, wheel to wheel.
It's Shinikari.
Oh, a little bit of contact, and Jinakari has spun it around behind them. Still wheel to wheel between the Spaniard and the Hungarian right now. The Williams versus the Ferrari. Alex is still in 6th.
Domi's picked up a penalty as well, but a huge dive at the inside from the Williams into turn 13, and it's going to cost him time in the exit. But the softs on the traction with the DRS as well are going to give him the run for the outside of 14, and it's Domi in the Williams. They got Fraser as well. This has benefited him big time because he's on softs as well, so he is now very much able to have a nice look at Alex Bido and try and get past him on the old hard tyres. And this is great news for Fraser. Alex Bido, I'm not sure there's contact, but a little bit of slide on the Ferrari manages to catch it. You look at Domi's pace, he's just tearing away. Can he catch Ben the Bear?
Fraser. Oh, Bido's in big trouble here. Big trouble. The Mercedes now on the inside through turn 1. Wheel to wheel. A little bit of contact. No! And there he goes around. Fraser and Alex Bido have come together. He's just sitting there. It's so unfortunate for him. He's still in the points, however. He's got to get that car going.
I think that's an unforced error. He's left the session, whether that was a disconnect or what. We'll make sure we get him an invite just in case it was, but
Yeah, he's definitely got to get back in this session.
patience is a virtue, we say it time and time again. It's one instance where maybe waiting for that first DRS zone would have paid dividends for him.
And the Bear locked into his teammate right now, and as a result of this, Fraser really needs to get back in here to secure these points because Zamis is going to have an opportunity to come back at him. He's going to start to drop.
Yeah, Fraser, some sort of disconnection, completely offline on Steam, so with just 2 laps to go, chances are looking slim. Like you said, that AI car could be caught by Zanos if he's not careful. Monitor the situation to make sure we can give him as much possibility to get back into this session as possible.
And just keeping with ZZ9 as well as he can here. Damas, if I'm not mistaken, had to go on mediums. I don't think he had a fresh set. He utilized all of his tires in qualifying.
Yeah, I believe that is the case. He started on the softs, so he could have gone back onto them if, like you said, he had a fresh set, but not worth the risk, especially given how little they last around here. A used set. I mean, if he'd only put 3 laps on them, maybe, but probably not worth the risk. Safe a bet. Finish the race on the mediums. Come home, collect a couple points in 9th, maybe 8th place if Fraser's car can't get him back at the helm.
Yeah, I don't think he will be returning to this campaign. After that incident, the reaction was quite clear. Everywhere is just hunting down Mammal right now.
Yeah, and his tyres as well. They're going to allow him. They looked good at the start of this stint when he came in under what I believe was the second safety car, as ZZ9 goes very wide through the final corner. Penalties could play a role here. People are still close enough for that to have an impact. Have a look at the situation now. So Shenjie has 3 seconds. Mammal, a 5-second unserved penalty. Freeware's got 3 seconds. ZZ9 clean as a whistle, as is Ben. Don't think they're close enough for it to take any impact, but if Freeware and Mammal hold each other up for the next 1.5 laps, it's possible that we see those penalties come into play. Obviously, Shenjie, don't think he's got too much to worry about from that 3-second time penalty with a 25-second lead right now. And he told me coming into this race that I was going to be commentating a race that he won, and without risk of a commentator's curse, I think he might have been right.
Yeah, he's
very, very dominant.
Very dominant, very confident, Shenjie. He was very, I have to say, Shenjie had a very good race around here yesterday, and it wasn't until that final safety car near the end of the race that things kind of came undone for him, and here he's just showing that consistency around Singapore.
But everyone just, apart from these last few battles, and then for the high scoring positions, Freeware DRS on Mammal. Not going to have him look into turn 1, but this gets him in good stead for having a look out of that turn 5. Ben as well in a similar situation. He's just been biding his time with ZZ9. We are on the final lap.
Oh, Mammal's just taken 3 seconds. That's not good. It's the final lap of this race.
He's got 8 seconds. This could put ZZ9 and Ben past him.
So unfortunate when you get penalties like that on the final lap of a race. Shenjie is just driving the tires off of that Alfa Romeo right now in P1. 26 seconds.
Needs to be careful as well. One more penalty, one more warning, and he is going to get relegated as well. So down behind ZZ9 and Ben, who have kept it clean this race. Obviously, Ben serving that drive-through earlier, but if Freeware picks another one up, not only is it going to help Mammal, I think Freeware would still have 2 seconds less as Shenjie does take the fireworks. He takes the win. Freeware will be hard pressed, and Ben hasn't made it past ZZ9 yet. And sector 3, notoriously difficult.
Alex Bido looking at Domi.
Well,
yeah, he's tight to the rear of Domi here. We're going to take a look. There goes Mammal and Freeware at the line. It's Mammal dropping into 3rd. Freeware catches 2nd behind his Tier 1 teammate in Shenjie, Alex Bido and Domi. They come across. Ben got on the podium due to the penalty that Mammal took. It was the final lap penalty for Mammal that saw him off of that podium. No. Shenjie with the race win here in Singapore in the Alfa Romeo. Freeware in 2nd. Ben the Bear in 3rd. Mammal 4th here. Alex Bido in 5th. Domi in 6th. ZZ9 in 7th. And it's Fraser now, his AI-controlled car, holding up Zamis.
I don't understand what I've just witnessed. ZZ9 doesn't have penalties either, but he hasn't been promoted past Mammal. He's ahead of Ben. I'm flabbergasted, confused, and
well, the stewards will have to review. We'll take a look at the race director.
but what a race from Shenjie. Absolutely dominant in lead of this race. He came into it with no doubt, and right he was.
Wisp has apparently jumped into 7th position. Wow. He jumped a lot of cars.
So that's 11 positions gained.
Yeah, that's a lot of cars. Look at that.
There he is.
Driver of the day for Wisp. With that very creepy portrait picture just staring right at everybody. Perfect. Perfect picture. That was a very, very unique race, Unicorn. I think the stewards are going to be having quite a busy time with that one. Quite a busy week with Singapore, of course.
Yeah, that was something else. Singapore, really not disappointing. That was obviously that was the last one, but all of those races that we commented together, very enjoyable to watch.
Well, apparently Wisp also had the fastest lap, a 55.978. Of course, that's a bug, but Shenjie with that race win again. A superlative performance from him, 25.2 seconds ahead of P2 when he finished this one. Of course, he did the one stop. Freeware. 7th to 2nd. Ben dropping off pole into 3rd. He had quite the recovery drive. Mammal in 4th, Alex Bido in 5th, Domi in 6th, Wisp in 7th, ZZ9 in 8th, Damas in 9th. It's Astrodite in 10th, Fraser, Maxim B, Finn, Jinkari, Brainstew, Jake, Seb, Mito, Burke, and Jones all out of the points in this one. But it was a fantastic and a super exciting race overall. We had quite a few interesting scenarios. Safety car coming out for a time, and a lot of wing changes from these racers.
Yeah, Singapore again. Those tight walls, there's a lot of high speed straights, and I think that sort of, and they're into very tight corners, some of them, and it just adds that very interesting dynamic. And patience is so important around a track like this. And I do believe, for anyone wondering, I do believe Domi picked up fastest lap, well, a legitimate lap of 1:37.2, from what I'm seeing. But yeah, super interesting race. I think those safety cars at the start really threw a spanner into the works, and Freeware pitting under that second safety car. I think we would have seen Alex as well had he not had that spin. We would have seen him up there as well. But overall, excellent race. Whether positions are adjusted for whatever was going on. If so, if not, Wisp with 11 positions gained. Superlative drive from him.
That was a very good drive from him.
Impressive as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, with all that, I hope everybody thoroughly enjoyed that race. We are going to raid somebody here. I'm just taking a look at who it's going to be. I think we are going to head on over and hit Mr. Dirk Chocolate. So if you guys are interested in joining us for that raid, we would greatly appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the 5th round of Singapore this week. We have no endurance series this week, but we are going to be back to racing action on Tuesday with, of course, it's going to be Russia Unicorn. Sochi Autodrome coming up for round 17 of Season 3. And I'm very excited for that. But without further ado, we are going to bid you farewell for this evening. Of course, Unicorn joining me from the UK. My name is Strifium here from Canada. I will say this. It is my birthday, and I will be streaming in about an hour and a half. So if you feel like doing some open lobbies, come say hello. Come have a nice time. If not, have a fantastic night, guys.